Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. session of the 2025 Open Simulator Community Conference. In this session, we are pleased to introduce the presentation Welcome to the Uncanny Valley. And our
Mm.
speaker for this is Virginia Dickinson, also known as Xenon Darrow. She specializes in developing cutting edge digital technology for learning. Xenon has over 35 years of design and development experience from working with major oil and chemical companies, as well as universities, healthcare, and the hospitality industry as a consultant and instructional designer. Her expertise includes working with universities and colleges as a consultant, as a professor, and as an instructional designer for more than 17 years now. Her work has also extended to the hospitality industry for over 22 years. That's a lot of experience. She currently works as an instructional designer for a prominent school of nursing at a major medical school. She is also considered one of the resident experts in gamification and AI applications in learning. Please check out the website found at conference.opensimulator.org for our speakers' bios, details of the sessions, and the full schedule of events. This session is being live streamed and recorded, so if you have any questions or comments during the session, please, you may send your tweets to at OpenSimCC with the hashtag of pound OSCC25. Welcome, everyone, and let's begin this session.
Hi, everybody. This is Xenon Darrow, aka Virginia Dickinson, in that other world where I have to pay bills. And I do want to say that I just recently was told I cannot see it, but I have lips wrapped around my leg. And if you can see lips wrapped around my leg, I will tell you if I've had that all day, I feel like you guys let me walk around all day with toilet paper and I'm sad. Okay. So we're going to move along though. We're going to pretend it's a fashion statement. Um, what I want to talk about today is this uncanny valley for avatars. Let's get started. I'm here to share this model, and it's in its infancy, and I've been working on it for about 10 to 15 years, since about 2010 or so. That would be right. And I started working with some of my major corporate clients in Second Life, bringing them in world as we did with the University of Texas Health Science Center when we assisted them in getting the Reynolds Grant, as well as bringing virtual world elements into the traditional classroom training as I did with one of my refining safety clients. And after decades of being in the virtual world, I finally decided to formulate these experiences into a model for learning applications. Now, and of course, my deal is not working. Okay. In 1970, we all know that Japanese roboticist Masahiro Mori coined the term the uncanny valley. And in his seminal essay, Mori proposed that as robots become more human like in appearance and behavior, they will elicit increasingly positive emotional responses from us until that point where the resemblance becomes unsettling rather than comforting. And I personally like to refer to this as the creep factor, where humans start to get creeped out by the differences rather than embracing the imagined. The concept has gained traction to the point that many robotics companies, such as Honda, Boston Dynamics, Sony, and others, have scaled back from hyper realism, opting instead for forms that are more abstract, cartoonish, or mechanical. Now, I beg your indulgence. This is a model in process. While it is being published and presented, it is introduced without more than very sparse anecdotal research so far. Though these effects and applications can be seen in the video gaming environment with companies such as Apple and Nintendo. So they're starting to use more abstract characters, encouraging the user's imagination and pattern recognition. This is especially popular in what are being called cozy games. Now, the modified application of the concept of the uncanny valley for avatars is concerned with the same issues as robotics, with the axis depicting that the higher the complexity and the hyperrealness of the avatar, there is a line of demarcation from the primarily visual exercise of identifying with the avatar to identifying as an avatar or character. Now, this is the point where we see this explosion of hyperrealism in avatars. In this case, we look for a sweet spot where cognitive and emotional engagement are optimized and where the mind is still working on adding components, avoiding the shift where someone notices what is missing. So, hyperrealism can actually overwhelm or alienate learners. Impressionistic and surreal art forms offer a different cognitive invitation, one that activates the whole brain and fosters emotional safety, creativity, and retention. The California Learning Resource Network recognizes that stylized visuals, symbolic abstraction, and surreal motifs engage both hemispheres of the brain stimulating pattern recognition, emotional resonance. Gosh, I cannot say this. And I practiced, people, I promise you, emotional resonance and imaginative projection. This principle is central to Jorge Lozanoff's accelerated learning AL model, which integrates music, visual art, and suggestion to create a multisensory environment that enhances memory and emotional engagement. Lozanoff emphasized the role of aesthetic immersion in lowering psychological barriers and activating neuroplasticity. By the way, that's one of my favorite words, allowing learners to absorb complex material more fluidly. Now, a rudimentary example of this effect relates to impressionist and abstract paintings that influence human perception and cognition by engaging the brain's interpretive and emotional systems through visual ambiguity and color dynamics. So the brain shifts to pattern recognition, adding the missing components, creating a shared but also unique interpretation of that art. Like when you go to the museum and you stand behind the line to look at a Monet and it looks like lilies in a pond, but when you get closer to it, it's just a bunch of brushstrokes. So let's dive into the model and see where the sweet spot emerges. We're going to follow the model from right to left, with the left peak being true presence, the real life. And we start with a highly primitive stick figure, which is a circle on a series of lines. Yet everyone recognizes that the stick figure represents a human due to our pattern recognition and the ability to fill in the blanks. In fact, it's kind of automatic. We do it without thinking. And while this presentation isn't covering at what stage of development this occurs, it is definitely something that occurs very early in humans. So let's trek down the valley. We're going to go down that hill, and we see slightly more complex forms emerge, filling in some of the blanks of the stick figure, but not by much. And we're going to refer to this entire stage as the echo of form, where cognition and creativity are engaged but not necessarily emotionally impactful. Okay, let's keep trekking down the valley. I don't know about you, but I'm glad we're going downhill. As we move down the valley, we're going to see the emergence of more modern artistic forms of character depiction. And these images are charmingly stylized and they're playful in some regards. And the observer can identify with the characters, projecting some of their own emotions onto the images. We're going to refer to this as the mask of delight. And part of that is seeing these more 3D implemented, like Pixar type characters become wildly popular. So when we get to the lowest peak of the valley and we begin to climb, we see the emergence of identifying as the character. With games, we now become the character or the avatar, and we can see the evolution of avatars from the more generic and abstract to the more realistic. With the rapid advance emerging to attempted hyperrealism, which is a demand from gamers who share our learning spaces. So we call these first movements up the hill the threshold of recognition. So features sharpen, emotions flicker, but we're still filling in the blanks. Okay, forms are more idealized. Um, Finite characteristics are missing, such as wrinkles and imperfections, and yet our mind will fill in those blanks with the right adjustments. So cognition is fully engaged, creativity abounds, emotional impact is high, and neuroplasticity is off the charts. People will strive to learn new skills to adjust to their new virtual identity simply as a matter of course, as opposed to someone promoting these things as a primary learning objective, though doing that can make the experience quicker and more engaging. As I did last year in my presentation, I'll refer to you, my glorious audience, the example of amazing anomalies as our collective ages defy the standard acceptance of continually attaining advanced computer and application skills. And yeah, guys, I wrote that. AI did not. I really write like that. It's kind of ridiculous. So, what do we have coming next? The rapid movement to hyperrealism then hits this critical mark. So now we're pushing up. We're trying to make these things look more like real people. Why? I always ask. And then the avatars, we're going to call this the hollow mirror. Developing developers and creators strive for hyperrealism, but it does still miss the mark. Avatars cannot exactly mirror the movements and facial musculature that humans perform. Don't get me wrong, the art is astounding, but the leap isn't complete, even educationally optimal. So, most importantly, the learner begins to focus on what is missing as opposed to creatively filling in the blanks. And thus emerges the creep factor. The experience becomes eerie as the brain struggles to reconcile the differences between reality and the attempt at hyperrealism. You may click on that part of the model that has those three women in that picture, and it'll take you to the Unity asset page of this artist. You may view videos of these avatars, and the effort on the artist part is undeniable. It's fantastic. But the shadow of reality makes full identification an effort that is a struggle instead of creative or intuitive. Such finite details become meaningless, and the attempt to improve them may even hinder optimized learning and whole brain activation. But for one tiny nudge into reality, the world of learning is lost. Framebox's 2025 research supports this, suggesting hyper-realistic visuals can increase cognitive load, drawing attention to surface detail at the expense of deeper engagement.
Also, just to let you know, in the gaming industry, they found that it's also the way that they move the animations. So,
Yes.
like Naughty Dog, they've done a lot of stuff,
Hmm.
and what they do is when they're doing their motion capture, they will motion capture for everything, but they will only use the motion capture for the body parts, not for the face. We
Right.
tend to want the face to be naturally done, so they hand key all that animation because otherwise it creeps people out. If it moves exactly the way it was captured, it doesn't feel right.
Right. Yes, and again, as an educator, I am proposing that's not even what's best for learners, right? I'm going to go into that. So, of course, as we move past the hollow mirror, and thank you, David, when we move
Welcome.
past the hollow mirror, we're going to emerge into true presence, as exemplified by my good friend Bart Lozer. I used his image with permission. At this point, total recognition occurs. However, the cognitive engagement that may enrich content and immersion will dissipate. So I personally kind of refer to this as lazy brain. Our brains relax into full recognition and do much less work on that pattern recognition. We move back to identifying with the other person. We know they're separate from us. The educational principle of this may be that learners focus on content in a more traditional learning environment. However, those of us in the virtual world with our avatars living on the threshold of recognition have a different experience. Hang on a minute. Okay. I'm doing this manually, guys. So I encourage you to consider when you create your avatar and you have your learners create their avatars, consider that cognitive engagement and the opportunity for increased neuroplasticity and skill attainment. Avoid striving for hyperrealism in your learning avatars. Just consider staying in that optimized area of the threshold of recognition, getting your learners to do the work, engaging more fully, stimulating their creativity. That is my solution for now, and there will be more to come in this uncanny valley for avatars. Thank you for your indulgence and willingness to go on this mountainous hike with me. And you guys, as always, have an absolutely amazing day. And there's some stuff about me that would put you to sleep. Go look at it when you need some rest. So I'm done. Woo. And I'm ready for questions.
Yes. Do we have any questions for Xenon? And actually, I've known her for quite a while. I think I brought you to OSCC
You
originally.
did. You did.
Yeah,
You were the one who drugged me in here kicking and screaming, and look what you did.
yeah. And she had me voice over one of her oil rig projects for. I think she ended up killing me off in it though.
Yeah, I think he died from a safety incident.
Yeah, which made sense.
Great. I really appreciate the positive feedback. I was waiting for people to be like outraged that I proposed this. Um, I do have some, hopefully in the future, I'm going to share with you some experiences that really woke me up to this issue. And that was way back when we were doing that work, David. That's when I discovered that was uh, people, how they fill in the blanks is far more, is far richer than you might think. Oh, the website is being hateful?
Is
Hang
that the
on.
Unity one, or which one are you trying to get to?
Is it Unity or me? Let me see if I can get there. Maybe the link isn't working properly.
Because I know the Unity one, it has cookies that they've integrated that now. So a lot of times you get there and you can't see stuff if it's made by a third party.
Oh, well, I can see it. Because I'm
That
looking at
might
the
be your
page right
browser
now.
settings. Because when I clicked,
Ah, got it.
it said I had to clear my cookies or something.
Okay. I want to address what you just said, Julietta. So there's a whole other piece to this that I did not bring today because I am still in the process of formulating it. And notice that my avatar doesn't represent the, I mean, technically isn't stuck in the threshold of recognition. And there's a piece of this that I'm working on, and I'm calling it, right now, I'm talking about it in terms of beyond the mirror. And it actually like branches away from the hollow mirror, and it, in my opinion, it's part of transformational learning. So the reason that I wore this avatar today is because she can hypergrid without falling apart.
Yep.
um, Even though my, I don't have lips on, but I have a lip stuck to my leg for some people. So that is the joy of the hypergrid. But hey, like I told them, my bits are covered, so stop crying
Yeah.
about it.
And I wear this samurai outfit so you can't see the old man underneath.
Exactly. Well, sometimes they do, Lisa, and sometimes they go completely beyond that. I mean, um, I know that when I am an avatar, I want to be something that I'm not. Okay. Because that's my imagination taking over. And again, I really feel like that once we have that total recognition, our brain kind of shuts down that way. And so
Yeah.
we start to become so technically focused on the information, we lose a lot, right? We're missing that enrichment, in my opinion. Okay. You thought, yes, that's exactly it, Julietta. It's a fashion statement. Thank you. It's the new
Yeah.
hip scarf. Yes.
Yep. And one thing too I learned from the PTSD stuff is that some people want to look exactly like they are in real life. Other ones want to be anything but. So like the
Right.
ones that they done with DOD inside of Second Life, some of them didn't want to be in a wheelchair even though they lost their legs. Other
Right.
ones wanted to have everything exactly identical to the way it was in real life.
And I'd
So sometimes it's a
really,
matter of the person, or for
yeah,
myself, I'm a man of a thousand avatars. I try all
exactly.
different kinds of things, and it's just I'm fluid with it.
Well, and that contributes to your neuroplasticity, right? In order to do that, you have to learn different things. And one of the things I tell people that's so powerful about being an OS is everything's not necessarily easy here. Okay. If you want to have a car that you get in and you press the button and it runs and the windows go up and down and then go to Second Life, people. But if you
Yeah,
want to be somewhere where you have the freedom to dig in under the hood and make changes and come up with cool and creative things, this is the place to be, and you are going to learn so much.
very
This
cool.
is the muscle car of the virtual world. That's what I tell
Cool.
people. We are in the
That's a good way to explain it.
1967 Camaro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for Virginia Dickinson for all you've done and for this presentation. It was
Oh, thank
very
you.
informative and an interesting one. As a reminder to our audience, you will want to check out conference.opensimulator.org to see what is coming up on the conference schedule. You won't want to miss our next presentation, which will begin at 4:30 p.m. in this keynote region, and it's entitled Preservation Challenges for the Arcadia Asylum Asset Archive. Also, we encourage you to visit the OSCC 25 Poster Expo in the OSCC Expo 3 region to find accompanying information and presentations, and also explore the hypergrid resources, which are in the OSCC Expo 2 region, along with the sponsor and crowdfunder booths located throughout all of the OSCC Expo regions. Thank you again to our speaker and to the audience.
Thank you.